Hello and welcome into my craft room. I'm Sally Bowman, and in this video I'm going to show you how to re-ink your ink pad. The great thing about Stampin' Up ink pads is that you can buy a little bottle of concentrated ink for every colour, and honestly, when you buy your ink pad, buy a re-inker as well, because then you've got it by you and you're never going to have to stamp with an ink pad that's not giving you nice, clear, crisp impressions. So when you're stamping and the ink colour starts to look a little bit faded and isn't as bright as you would like, maybe those solid stamps aren't inking really well, it's time to re-ink it. Simply open up your ink box, find your re-inker, and you're also going to want a spoon of some sort. You can use a bone folder, lots of people do, but they stain. I like to use a spoon instead. This is just a teaspoon. It's an old one that I keep for my crafting. You can use a plastic one instead, or anything else that's got a firm, smooth edge on it. What you don't want is something that's sharp and is going to cut the foam of your ink pad. Then I'm simply going to unscrew my re-inker and drop some ink across my ink pad. Now, some re-inkers are very runny. This one is really watery. This is basic grey. Some of them are very thick and viscous, and you might need to press quite hard to get some ink out. And I usually just drop drops across, leaving a little gap between them. You can see that these soaked in quite quickly. Some of them will do that, some of them won't. And then all I do is I just smooth across my ink pad with my spoon as if I was buttering a piece of toast. And I go one way and then I turn my ink pad and I go the other way. So I've gone up and down and I've gone across, and that will distribute the ink really nicely. Do a test with a stamp, see if you're getting the result you want. If it's still a little bit blotchy, add a little bit more ink, spread it again, and then ideally set your ink pad aside, closed up for a couple of hours, and that will just make absolutely sure that all the ink is distributed nice and evenly across your ink pad. You can find that it's not going to give you a really deeply coloured image straight away, and so the temptation is to keep adding ink and keep adding ink, but in actual fact you can easily add too much that way. So ideally just set it aside for a couple of hours, allow that ink to redistribute all across the pad, then try stamping again. And if at that point your image still isn't as you want it, then you can add a little bit more ink, but it's so much easier to add it than it is to take it away. I hope that's been helpful to you today, and that you will now be able to have beautifully coloured images with no fading. Thanks for joining me. Bye bye.